Hello people of the internet. Today we are going to work on fedora-distro-aliases. It is a small Python project that supports some aliases and allows you to basically use that alias for querying active Fedora versions. Because for example, you can query all currently active Fedora versions, and at the point of writing the documentation it was Fedora 38, 39 and rawhide. Currently it would be Fedora 42, Fedora 43 and rawhide. Of course, that's not the only thing. You can also query only the stable Fedora versions, only the development versions. You can figure out the latest version, the latest stable version. You can, of course, there's also support for Apple. There is a similar project for OpenSUSE, which is called OpenSUSE distro-aliases, and it does basically the same thing. It was inspired by fedora distro-aliases. The project was created by our friend Dan Chermak. So let's talk about fedora distro-aliases. Why would you want something like this? I don't know about your use cases, but at some places in my project, I sometimes want to, for example, programmatically create a new Copper project and build inside of it. Now, what if I want to build into all supported Fedora versions? Then I needed to list all of them manually, which is fine. But then it's, for example, a service, and you start the service and it runs, and after a half a year you found out that nothing is being submitted to Copper because it cannot successfully create a project because there is a hard-coded Fedora version that is not active anymore and everything fails. Or you have some tool that does that and you need to manually increment the version and do a new release, or at least change your configurations and so on. It's annoying. So we came up with this solution, and you can basically in your program import the get distro aliases function. You can get all the aliases and query by the alias. And query by the alias, so you can get all the versions, and that's it. And there are some helpers so that you can, for example, only get the branch if you want to interact with distgit, for example. If you want the numeric value, you can do it this way through the version number. If you want I frequently work with mock config names, so this is how you can construct a mock config name from it. So that's something like Fedora 38 dash and architecture. So yeah, this is the project. We have several issues reported, and it was a long time since I could give some love to the project, so let's do it now together. First issue that we have is from Christian Lee, and he wants a simple way to construct a distro object from a string name. I'm not sure how much useful this is, but let's implement it because we would like to make him happy. I remember he suggested something that wouldn't exactly work, because he wanted some helper function like from branch name. But yeah, we don't. Yeah, that would be a cyclic dependency, because the from branch name method that he suggests would need to take aliases as a parameter, and the aliases are created by get distro-aliases, which uses the distro init, so it would be like too chaotic. But I proposed a function and he seems to be fine with that. Might want to also allow similar inputs that are passed to distinct farm context, e.g. fedora height, but not sure how standardized would that be. All right, so I think for the initial proposal we can ignore the testing farm specific strings, and we can ask about it in the pull request. So what did I suggest here? It's such a long time, I don't remember anything. I'm sorry, I'm getting to it after such a long time. September 1st. It doesn't sound like too long ago, but my memory sucks so bad that I don't remember actually. So the function would be, yeah, basically what he suggests, but it's not a static function of the distro, but it's a separate function. All right, we can do that. That would also allow us to do something like distro from testing farm some weird string with underscores, and would return the thing. So that, yeah, that sounds nice. Right, let's jump to the project. By the way, this is the first video when I'm using my non-standard font size. I'm using a larger one because there was a request for it, and I wanted to experiment with it to see, is this something you all prefer? Is this something I can live with? Let's see. Please let me know your feedback about the font size, because I need to make up my mind about it. Now, the code here should be very simple. It's a small package. There is a caching is separately. So the thing we are working on, it doesn't involve caching. The caching basically here is just saving to a file and loading from a file. That's it. CLI is also not what we want, because CLI is basically a fedora-distro-aliases command. We want this init file, which is basically the library. It has 150 lines of code, so it's very simple. There is this standard get distro-aliases function, and here is the distro class, which we talked about. Now we can continue at the very end. So basically we agreed that the use case would be this. So maybe I can create a separate Python file, tmp distro-aliases static. It doesn't really matter. Wow. Okay. So we have this. Basically, this will be our reproducer. We can do. We could basically use TDD here, but screw that. Let's go to git fedora-distro-aliases, and let's also try to run the tmp distro-aliases static. Okay, so we cannot import it, of course, because we didn't create it. Now, this is the function that we want. Here is going to be a branch, because it's a distro from branch, and aliases. That's it, and it will return none. If we run it now, cannot import name. Alright, that's simple. That's because it tries to import from my installed fedora-distro-aliases package, which is rpmql python 3 fedora-distro-aliases, which is installed here. It's trying to import from here, not from the Git repository we are at the very moment. So we need to do something like Python path equals here. Fine. We can print the distro for easier debugging, which prints none now. Perfect. So, of course, we can return something like distro here. If we jump to the distro, how does it work? It can be created from something, and the something is a probably dictionary with these values. Alright. And it does some specific Fedora number. Okay, so we don't want to create it somehow differently than just by calling this function. And since we have the aliases here, we should be able to work with that. So pp aliases, we have the aliases. If we which means we already have the distros. So is this just a filtering mechanism? Is this just about doing something like for what? We only want the values, so for distros in aliases values, that doesn't look right, aliases values, if no, I don't know, so let's jump to the cycle, run it again. We have distros, so we have a distro, and the distro is a munch, it seems to be, so we can access something like branch. Nice. So then we can probably do something very easy, like if distro right, for distro in distros, and if distro branch equals the desired branch, then we return the distro, right? That's it. And here we probably return none, right? So yeah, this is it. This is it. Okay, this was simpler than I expected. Now, can we do it so that there isn't that much nesting here? We can maybe do a one-liner here, like for x for x in distros if x branch equals branch, we can do something like this. And this could be can we do something like first out of this? Undefined name first? There is not first in Python. Alright, so we can do basically something like foo equals this, and then if foo then return foo the first one, something like this. But it's actually uglier than the version that we had before. I mean, this is fine enough. Let's write a docstring. So that would be filter out distro from aliases based on its, why do I have double, based on its branch name. This is good enough, right? So it still works. Nice. We should probably write a test for it, and we should probably try something else than row height. So if we do f for f42, it returns 42. If we do f48, which wasn't released yet, we get none. Seems reasonable. We could raise an exception here, but do we want to? I don't know. Alright, in this project there is going to be some test file, probably here. Test distro-aliases. Okay, we have some tests already. I think we need to use some special decorator. No? Oh, I see. We use some side effects like this. So we want, for example, this one. Doesn't really matter. What data do we have? Page 1, page 2, appel, branch window, post branch window. Sure. So let's do the 42 post branch window, this one. So we'll copy the same start of the test, and we will now test a test distro from branch. We need to mock the requests get. Here is going to be a to-do. Now, this is a small helper that basically takes this file, it's a JSON file. It takes this file and uses it as a fake output for the requests get function. So once we call get distro-aliases here, it doesn't call the actual Bodhi production instance to query the results, but it fakes the response from the file we have seen, so that we can have a constant output for our tests. In the TMP, I had the static something, this, so we can use the same here in the test. So basically this was our reproducer in the command line. We don't need the import, we already have the aliases. We don't want to print anything, and yeah, we just wanted this line basically. Now, distro from branch, it doesn't exist here because distro from branch, we need to import it. Now we have distro from branch. And we can put a breakpoint here and maybe a set false here, and we can run the tests. Now, how the hell I run the tests, I don't know. Let's take a look at the spec file test. Yeah, so test file basically runs this, spec file runs this command, so we will use the same, and it's just Python here. Let's run it. We are in the breakpoint. It fails. Good. Let's get back to it. pp distro. It actually returned a distro. So we can asset its values like distro name. Alright, so assert distro dot name equals not name var dot name equals this. Let's, for example, test the long name as well. So assert distro long name equals this. Now these, if we know the implementation, we know both of these were taken directly from the JSON. But we can make sure also some of these functions work, or properties work, and make sure that nobody faked it in any way and returned just a dictionary from this that was created differently than we would expect. So we can, for example, test namevar or major version. And product is what? It's Fedora. I think we could take these two and test them, so that would be Fedora major version and distro name were these two, right? So this is useless. The output was Fedora height, sorry. So it was like this and like this. So we want to assert that this equals this. Same here, assert that this equals this, and I don't like the single quotes. Now let's put the breakpoint away and run the test. Assert false, sure, we can remove that now, and we have a working test. I think we should be sure and try one more alias. And I think that alias maybe could be an Apple, because somebody could implement this incorrectly and use, for example, just Fedora all alias there, which probably excludes Apple. We can take a look. So pp aliases. If we have the Fedora all, yeah, we have 40, 41, 42 row height. And we don't have any Apple at all, which which sucks. We need to use a different fake response probably. But yeah, if somebody used, for example, Apple9, and we basically used Fedora all in the implementation, it wouldn't work. So we should probably have one more test. Now, what other data do we have here? Do we have some fake regarding Apple? We probably have. So Apple. Yep, we can use this one. Now, maybe we can only fake this again. And oops, do this aliases, and then let's have a debugger. Yeah, let's have a debugger here, and asset false again. Right. So let's take a look at the aliases. Now we have a lot of Apple stuff. So some branch name would be Apple 9, for example. Or, more complicated one, Apple 10.0, and we will try that one. We will try that one because it's more complicated case. So this is the output we expect. Now we can query a distro by the distro by the branch, which is the Apple 10.0, and we can assert that 10.0 should have version 10.0, duh. Distro version should be 10.0. We could assert that the name is an Apple 10.0. And what else is interesting for us? Maybe the long version, or for example namevar. How does the long version look like? Yeah, let's do that. So long version, and the name. Yeah, let's do the namevar as well. Oops. Namevar. So long version was going to be this. And namevar. I'm curious, what's the aliases? Apple is set all. Oops. The first one, and the namevar is this, which is boring long version. No. Major version was what I thought. Major version. Right, let's do major version because that's not 10.0, so it's a different value. We can test it. So let's do major version here, and it's a number actually, so it's just 10. And we can keep the asset false to make sure. Okay, long version failed. So we are having problems with the long versions. A long version. Oh, because it's long name actually. Name. And now we are at asset false. So it works now. Nice. Test distro from branch. Do we have doc strings for all tests? We have. Okay. Test the distro from branch function is good enough for now, I would say. Oops, 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 like this. Git status, git checkout new branch, which is going to be distro from branch, and we are going to commit this stuff. Not work in progress. Implement a distro from branch helper function. Fix 29. We can push this and create a pull request. There isn't a Frostix git config. Oh, seems like it isn't. So I need to fork it for myself. I don't have my personal fork of this. Don't lie to me, I have. So I just didn't put it to yeah. It seems like I was already I was always pushing directly to the upstream again, and we can create a pull request that looks like this. Would this help you? Is it Lecris or is it a different username? Ah, this one. Fat fingering everything. So we have our helper function. Nice. I'm not sure if there's anything else we should work on. So we have another issue, which is an alias for ELN, and I don't really understand the ticket, I think. So he wants to pass an fedora-branch like Fedora Rawhide or Fedora ELN, so Fedora 42 for example as well. Would be even more useful if we can pass a specific branch to filter distros or do something automatically and pass formats like so to me it seems like we actually implemented this very thing as he is proposing here with few formats like, and we did this one. Should we also have a function that would be distro from name? What is the thing he wants? Name var. We can take a look at the README. Basically, this name var is name dash version. So I think we can do just that. So if we did the same exact thing, which I'm starting to think that there will be some abstraction, but if we did distro from name var, this will be a name var, and we are going to compare name var and name var, of course. Then we have basically the same thing, right? I'm sorry if you hear my neighbors doing stuff. If we jump back to our static, this one, and instead of distro from branch, we are going to do distro from name var, and we are going to call this. We should get nothing because that's the wrong name var, but fedora-height is a name var. So yeah, this is it. Which means we could have functions like this, or we can do something like distro or something like filter distro in aliases, and we can have branch equals none, name var equals none. We can also have some additional one, not sure what. What other example does he give us? This isn't anything standard. I don't want this. I don't want this also. Branch name var. Then needs to be something else. Chroot distgit branch name var version, but this is unusable across all the. Okay, so we can do something like this. That would be good enough based on its branch or name var. If branch and name var, so if they are specified at the same time, we can raise some exception, I don't know, value error, maybe. What would accept Python exception hierarchy? What exception should we use in this case? Name error, ls error, overflow, recursion, runtime, syntax, stop, indentation, system type, Unicode. So there is a lot of them. Yeah. This is what I wanted to see. I like this graph. I mean, attribute error is kind of reasonable. Or value error, or just runtime error. I think we can do attribute error. Raise attribute error. You cannot not possible to filter by multiple values at once. Now I have this line which is supposed to be 80 characters, but I'm not sure is it since we have a larger font size, if it broke or not, if it shows the correct value, if it's displayed on the correct place. If I disable the larger mode, all right, so it's at the, yeah. Okay, so this line is too long, basically. So we should probably do something like this. So this is just a check that you cannot filter by multiple values at once. And we can do something like if namevar, namevar and distro equals namevar, then return distro. But then we also need to do the same for branch. Right? And that's it. So this could be our filter distro function. Now, if we try this, we need to import also filter distro, which would be something like distro equals filter distro. The aliases are first now because because the filtered value needs to be passed with a keyword argument, and this is going to be namevar, and this works. Is it the correct? Yeah, this was the line. Nice. So we can also do branch, which should return nothing exactly. But if we do branch like this, it works. And if we try to do branch and namevar equals foo, we have an attribute error. So this is quite good, right? All right. So, oops, I didn't want to do that. Is there anything I need to obscure? No, fine. If we go back to the tests, yeah, I think we can Yeah, yeah. I think we won't use these two in the end because this is much better. And this could also accept the TMT, the testing farm weird string, and it would be fine too. So we can do something like test filter distro. We need to import the right stuff, filter distro. And here we need to filter distro. Also here. And remember, the arguments are now in the different order, and also this needs to be called with the keyword name. Same here, aliases are first, and we need to call this as branch. So this should work. Also filter distro function. So now if we run the tests, it works. Good. I should have shown how it fails and then we get it to the working state, but never mind. And also, remember, we can now filter distro by a branch, not branch, by the name var. So name var, and I will keep the rawhide here so we can see a failure. Nice. And the name var, we will use something else than rawhide, so it's more fun. We will try fedora-42. So I'm really guessing now, so it's more fun. So I think the name should be, yeah, I have no clue. Should it be fedora-42? Should it be just 42? I don't know. Fedora-42 should be here probably, and Fedora, maybe this is just 42. I don't think so. The name var is of course the fedora-42, that's for sure, and this is for sure. If we run the test now, all right, so it's f42. So we can maybe filter by name as well, right? I think maybe we can filter by name as well, and it's also close to what Christian was proposing, right? Also, I'm getting a response from him. Yeah, that looks helpful. Thanks for this one. Wait and see once we finish the one we are working now. So what about the names? Let's have a debugger here and print all the aliases. So name is f40, 41, 42 and rawhide. If we had the Apple ones, which would be a little bit later, and now it would be Apple like this, like this. I mean, this is fine too. And those should be unique as well. So we can do that. We can do name here equals none. But now we cannot do branch and this and we cannot do name and, right? Because that would mean the failure would happen only when all of those are specified. Instead, and we cannot do or because we cannot do or because that would mean it would fail even for if one was specified. Is this the only case in the world that I need to have for XOR Python? Is there even XOR in? I mean, sure. So if both of them, then it's false. I think we need XOR. So I think this is what we want. If we do false and XOR false, then it's false. True, it's true. Can we do one more? It's true. What if we change this one to true? Nice. Nice. So we basically need this. That's cool. That's cool. I have actually never used this in my 10 years of coding in Python. We need to do the same here, right? If name and distro name equals name. I mean, we could abstract this as well to some for loop over this, but I think whatever abstraction we did to this would be too complicated and not worth it, and it's just better to keep those separate if statements. They are short, they are not complicated, they don't have any logic. It's very simple, like a beginner would write, and I think that's good because it's readable. So if we go back to our tests, oh, the problem is they needed to be Boolean, right? Because check this out. What we did before was false, true, true, but now we have foo. So we need to manually do bool like this, which is starting to remind me why I never used this, because at this point we could do something like if I was writing it from scratch, I would do maybe something like name branch name var, and I would probably filter none. I'm not sure what's the correct function none on iterable, so I think it's just this. And I would do length of this if this is larger than 1, basically. Not equal 1 is what I would do probably. So just to check my math, filter has no len. Oh, so we would need to also convert this to lists. this. I think there is probably a better way to do this, but I want to check my math. So foo, false. If we did this, and it would be basically none, and foo, then we have 1. If we have bar, we have 2, right? So this works as well. Condition like, oops, if this, and maybe a solution like this would be better if we had 10 of the filtering attributes, but since we have only 3 of them, it's much prettier to do it this way, right? Not possible to filter. Yeah, because we which line? 179. Oh yeah, that's where the problem comes from. But wait. Wait. So it's incorrect. 145. This line. Did I save it? Yeah. So the XOR is not correct. Now this is embarrassing, but let's check this out then. So what's bool name? It's false. What's name? Nothing. Branch, okay, we have branch. Name var is nothing. All right. So if we do bool branch, it's true. So we have false, true, and bool name var, which is false. Now false, true, and false is true. Right, we need to negate that, right? So we need to do something like this. Yeah, it works now. Yeah, we covered the wrong case. The case we had before was the successful case, not the wrong case. So we can and we should also cover the test case, the error case. So we should call fedora-distro-aliases with branch equals, for example, this. But at the same time, name var equals, and let's do some completely different one. For example, fedora rawhide. So it is clear it's nonsense. Why is this an error? Filter distro aliases. Sure, because it's just filter distro. Yeah, like this. And this will raise an exception. Nice. And I don't remember what's the correct syntax for Python. Test raise exception. I always forget how to self-assert raises my function, but yeah, this, basically this. We don't have self though. That could be a problem. Do we have unit test? Assert for example, attribute error this unit tests. No, we just didn't. Or can we? Has no assert. Yay. Python unit test assert. We don't have split. I don't want to. I don't want to. Can I use Python unit test assert without a class? Like this. This looks like the exactly same thing like before, no? But yes, that's reasonable. That's reasonable. We can do that. We can do that. So like this, and the attribute error here. And let's run. Nice. So if we, for example, did key error, it would fail. So it matches our expected attribute type. And if we called something that didn't raise the error, it would fail as well. So we can be sure that this actually raises the exact thing that we want. Like this. Good. And we can remove this. By the way, do we filter by name somewhere? We don't, and we should add a case for that as well. Which will be a shorter one because we don't want to. So Fedora 41. We want that name, right? Name. So it will be F41, which is going to be F41, which is going to be Fedora 41. Good enough. Test works. Nice. Done. Let's do allow filtering by more attributes than just branch name. Fix this one, and we will probably squash those together before merging, but I wanted to show it differently. So P, not P here, here PP from sticks, sure. And if we refresh this, okay, it's linked. And if we go back to, if we go to the pull request, and thank you for the review, Chris. Can you please take one more look? I think I figured out a way to fix what was the shit. I have so many tabs. What was the issue name? It was 30. How to fix 30 as well. We have some lint problems. Unnecessary parents after not keyword. All right. So we can remove those. I didn't know what's the precedence if the not is like for this one only or for the whole string. So it whole not string. What's the name for it? Yeah, whatever. Yeah. I'm forgetting my math now. Whatever. I wasn't sure if it's just for one or for all of this. It seems to work fine. So we can put it into this and force push it. Nice. Good. So the tests, the linter should run again, and yeah. All right, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Please let me know what do you think about the font size in this video. I need to figure out if I want to stay with this font size or do a larger one or revert back to my previous one. Personally, I would prefer going to my previous font size, so unless you all decide you want this one, I will probably go back. So please let me know what you think about that. All right, thank you again for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.